and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Yeski, have we met the open meeting laws and statutory notices?
Yes, the agendas have been posted on each of the doors at buildings and on the school's website.
Okay. We'll have roll call, please.
Scott,
Here.
Mike,
Here.
Sue,
Here.
Kayla is not here.
He's walking in.
She's walking it.
Okay.
And I am here.
Okay, do we have a motion to declare a legal meeting?
I move to declare a legal meeting.
I will second it.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Recognition of the public who wish to comment to the board. Is there anything back there? I don't know. Nothing? Okay. Okay, consent agenda items.
I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Is there a sec?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Okay, we'll have a report.
Okay, so for the Finance Committee report, we have manual checks of 11064 to 11077. Regular checks of 82273 to 82415. And these are a lot of operating checks, a lot of officials checks for fees, for meets, things like that. Transfer checks 2022 00110 to check number 2022 00125. And these are primarily from our school Visa card that have to go in and get paid with checks. Payroll checks, number 42863 to number 42875. And in the payroll direct deposit checks, 900062707 to 900062838 for a total of $827,107.58.
Okay. Any discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Administrative reports.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
Good.
Okay. So the last couple of weeks, Edgar Elementary has come here to observe our CKLA program. It's really nice having visitors and sharing and our teachers, talking to our teachers and showing off our curriculum and such with CKLA, so that's been really positive. We have an in-service plan for tomorrow. We got some guest speakers coming in the morning at the elementary talking about standards-based rating from CISA 5, breaking into some groups there. And in the afternoon, we're going to have an above and below example. Our third grade teachers will talk to second grade teachers for an hour or so, hour 15, and then they'll talk to the fourth grade teachers after that to work on continuation of the math and their CKLA and other things to keep the sequencing going up and down. There's a lot of fun to have good conversation. And then also some collaboration time just with their grade levels as well. So it'll be a busy day tomorrow. Parent-teacher conferences, we had to postpone because of the weather. So teachers did them via phone or video, or some parents came in after school, before school, but they made it work. Good conversations for those. Working on building schedules and class lists for next year already. We always do at this time. We're working on in-services already for next August. Our M class, which is our assessment replacing PALS, that goes along with our CKLA for grades kindergarten through second, possibly 4K. We have an in-person coming for that to train our teachers for that in August. We have our CKLA year 2 in service coming next August 30th for the elementary building in person as well instead of virtual. We're having a person come in to teach our teachers year 2 of the program. We have some Alice training, I'm sure we're gonna be having with Mr. Yeski, he's getting that set up, right? And then there's just more to come, building up August already, some good things to come, as they're planning ready for next year, so. Just having a headache. We'll continue to work on our standards-based grading, moving small steps, starting again tomorrow with that, and we're just keep moving forward with that. We don't want to jump too big because it is such a big change for not only the teachers, the school, but also the community as well. I encourage you all to keep coming to observe the magic happening in the elementary. It's just awesome seeing what goes on there every day, and it's neat to see everyone there. The book fair we had was, again, with the snow and the weather, pieced it together, but somehow we made it through. I haven't heard the total yet, but big thank you to all the staff and the parent volunteers that helped run that, so we could have some success there for our PTO. Wrapping up the third quarter, we're going into the fourth quarter already, it's hard to believe. And again, proud of our staff and all of our interventionists. They meet each month to talk about students and their reading progress, growth plans, and data. And the collaboration is just unique to our building. It's really, really neat to see. We continue to get new students. We have some new ones move in again. And summer school is just about wrapping up, getting that all finalized in the booklet. There's some new classes there. And we'll be sending those out in April, get parents and kids signed up. And then we have June and August for that. Busy times at the elementary. Any questions on anything? All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
It's been a busy month in the high school building. Awesome month, a lot of really neat accomplishments our students have been able to do. I'm going to try and mention some of those. We have some students who are advancing to DECA Nationals. Jen Nelson, Mackenzie Kiefer, and Alexis Fate. So I know last meeting Mr. Zinsky presented and talked about that potentially happening. We had a state champion wrestler, Sloan Welch, at 220 pounds. Colton Weiler took second. Derek Goddard took fifth. So it was really neat to see 5 wrestlers down there representing Auburndale. I had the opportunity to go down there and watch some of their matches, and it was just a really neat environment. And so proud of those guys for what they've been able to do throughout the season. Boys basketball team won the regional championship. Awesome to see the fans really get into the game over at Marshfield and then over at Appleton. It was just a blast to see how close they were, so close to making it to state, but such a successful season regardless, as well as the girls, just to see their progression through the season and how well they did. It was neat. You know, the girls won the regional championships the last 2 years. The boys got one this year. So next year we'll see who can, hopefully both of them will get there.
Yeah.
Solo ensemble we had on February 17th, and many students advancing on. We had 2 students advancing on with solos, Jaden Schmidt and Kimmy Lundgren. Jaden with the flute and Kimmy Lundgren with the clarinet. And then we also had our jazz ensemble who also advanced on to state as well, which is 20 students. I won't mention them all, but really neat to see our band doing so well and just hearing them at the events as well. At our game at Marshfield afterwards, I saw the band standing outside and I said, so we won the game, then we won the battle of the bands.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was just a really neat environment there. Johnny Ray, Dave Jasinski, and I met with Scott Sager just this past week about expanding our youth apprenticeship and trying to get more students involved and just getting more information out to parents about that program. So we're going to have an informational meeting here in April where Scott's going to come and students interested, and we're going to invite those parents too whose students signed up for just to learn more about the possibilities within the youth apprenticeship program. There's so many opportunities for students to get that training while they're still in high school that'll carry into their future. So
yeah,
really
is that primarily for seniors or
juniors
other
and
things?
seniors.
Juniors and seniors.
Yep. So and there are some 2-year youth apprenticeship programs where you can get double the training, and some are just 1 year. So it depends on what your career is, and so we want to get that information out to those students at the younger ages too, just so parents can know. So Scott is taking over the program now at Mackey. He's been really involved with getting us information and things like that. So looking forward to some of those opportunities. We had some field trips this past month. Ms. Tracy took a group of students to the Conference Art Show, which is still being displayed yet at the CBA in Wausau. So we really need to see just different art pieces from throughout the conference displayed there. So she took her group of students up there as well, those students who had their conference, their artwork shown. So there's a link on that if you want to click on that and learn more about where that is and the time frames. Ms. Lurkey also took some students to a Day on the Hill trip in Madison. And there's some more information too if you follow that link about what they were able to do on that trip. We had Students of the Month for the past month. The character trait was attitude. So if you see Sunny Dorhurst, Logan Dahlman, or Alexis Goddard, congratulate them for being middle school Students of the Month, and Matt Bowman and Jasmine Bilgren for the high school. And this month, our character trait is perseverance. So neat as you hear those character traits and you see the students who win, just how well they meet that, those traits. Upcoming, we have a Brat Fry tomorrow, so I would invite all of you from 10:30 to 2 back by the shop doors. We'll be selling brats, and if you're worried about the rain, don't worry, we'll deliver it out. Just pull up and we'll bring the brats out to you. Students have just done an awesome job preparing this. It's a lot of work that they put into, gathering donations, reaching out to different businesses. We had donations from Quick Trip, donations from a number of different organizations, which are all going to be recognized on the t-shirt as well. We also have the Tractor Day on April 21st as well, and that's another part of what they've been getting those donations. It's just incredible to see what they're able to accomplish for this family. Pancake Feed is this Sunday, so if you're able to get lots of food this week, between the Brat Fry and Pancake Feed. We have our ACT March 21st, as well as our freshmen and sophomores will be testing the same day. Typically, we do it on different days. This year it worked out that we're able to test all those students on the same day, which is really cool. And the middle school will be on their reward trip that day to keep the building nice and quiet for the students who are testing. On March 27th, we have our guest speaker, Steered Straight, coming in on that morning, talking with our students about avoiding drugs and just poor choices, things like that. So we're really excited to have them. Heard a lot of good things about them. Our third quarter also ends next week. Prom is coming up on April 1st as well. So it was a busy month last month, and be another busy one here. Any questions?
Thank you. Mr.
To
Yeski?
me, huh?
Yep.
I included mine in the board package, just so I wouldn't forget anything. I would have been informed that it sounds like most, if not all, of our students that are participating in the National Archery in Schools program have qualified through their various tournaments to shoot at nationals. That is going to be May 11th through May 13th. They would actually shoot on the Thursday in Louisville, so I'm going to guess that they would be gone from school. I think most travel Wednesday, and they get down there to shoot. Louisville, I think, is about a 9-hour trip without a stop. So I would suspect that our elementaries are going to be a little bit light that day in students. I think about 90% of our kids that are in the archery program are in the elementary. So again, just be aware of that coming up. I know when I talked to Corey today, he brought in, I think he had 3 different plaques or 4 different plaques or awards that they'd won for first place or sportsmanship and so on. And that's one of the programs that, again, I think we had 40 some last year, 60 some this year. That's one of those things that the kids are really excited about. And it's pretty cool to see everybody can fit in. You don't have to be a great athlete or a great student or a mind or any of those things. Just have a natural knack and ability to put it all together and control the emotions and do well. So it's kind of neat to see those kids in that activity. Evaluations. This was when I had filled out this report last week. I logged on to Frontline and just check. It's not that I don't trust Steve and Andy. I just like to make sure that they're doing as they're expected to do. So I looked on there. We have 22 teachers in their summer year. All 22 have entered in some of the requirements for the evaluation process. I think almost all of them have at least completed or have had 2 mini observations done on them. I believe they have all completed their self-review, which is required at the beginning of the year. And I believe most of them, I didn't get the exact number, have completed their SLO. If you remember, that's the student learning objective. Again, it can be as short as 9 weeks or it can be, again, spread throughout the year based upon, entry-level data, and then teaching to improve the student skill that's identified and so on, and then tested at the end of the semester or end of the year or so on. So when I was done with that, then I did reach out to the DPI and let them know, hey, we're good. And it was kind of interesting because after I had that conversation with them, their response was, yes, we are aware. They're contacting you, they're looking or working on through the CISA. So I think the CISA and the DPI are having some pretty good conversations in terms of they know what we're doing. They know we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, and I'm being held accountable. So I don't have any concerns, and I'll continue to have conversations with Steve and Andy when we meet. Just reminding them we got to make sure those are all done end of the year. Just a reminder, I think in January, I originally sent out a notice to you about the legislators, representatives, and senators at Medford High School. Our school district is hosting a legislative dinner. I found out that that's a free dinner. Free.
Yeah, I know.
So all we have to
Been there
do is
before.
RSVP, and they'll send us some questions, or we'll have a chance to write some questions, and they'll give them to the representatives and senators prior to, so they'll have a chance to review them, so they aren't, caught off guard or caught by surprise and turns into a hostile meeting, because that's not the intention. The intention is to try for them to hear what our concerns are and for us to hear what their plans are. So again, if you are interested at all, please let me know. When I talked to Pat Sullivan, the superintendent in Medford, he said if he has a week's notice, that's more than enough to make sure they have a table and food for us. So just kind of be thinking that will be before the next board meeting. And I'll try to put that in my weekly update just to, again, hammer down a date. I know it's hard to predict in January what it's going to look like in April in terms of your availability or not, but I'll try to, again, put that in that end of March update and then ask you to respond by, like the 3rd of April or that Monday or Tuesday, just so we get a hard number for them. And then the last thing is the strategic plan. I think we're still planning on meeting with the group next Tuesday to kind of give everybody an update on that. If you read the district mirror, I included an update in terms of things that were being done or we had completed 4 or 5 weeks ago. I don't think anything has necessarily changed from that. We're just slowly making, pulling those things out as we can. Working through a lot of things right now. The strategic plan was important when we first got it done to get it going. Now it's kind of drifted off or stepped back a little bit as we're trying to, get the, information out with the referendum, and we're getting budgeting things and staffing things and so on. So, but I do want to make sure that that everything that is on that plan, items and goals and so on, are discussed in detail. So everybody will be on the same page again after Tuesday night.
Great.
Yes.
So, Kevin, yes, I'll be going up to Medford. So Casey put me down for that, as well as thank you for the update on evaluations. That's what I was looking for last month when you weren't here and such, and got talking about evaluations and everything to make sure that, yes, we are getting the progress done that we need to get done, so that we're in good shape with the state as well as helping our teachers.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Move on. Building and Grounds Committee report. We didn't have a meeting, but
We did have a meeting, but I can give you an update. Buildings and Grounds, I met with Lee Spindler from Myron, and we coordinated with Ponch and Chad in terms of the paint room. That was the only thing that was left. They are coming in on Thursday, April 7th. Is that April 6th maybe? it would be the Thursday prior to Easter,
April 6th.
April 6th. They're coming in on April 6th. They're gonna move the exhaust fan from the upper quadrant. They're gonna reroute the ductwork. It's gonna be in the lower left-hand side, not straight down, but they're actually gonna put it down and then around the corner. So it's gonna be on the wall that faces east and west, not on the north wall or not on the. so I guess it's
North-south
on the-
wall.
It's on the wall that's gonna face, right now it's on the north-south facing wall, now it's
Yeah.
gonna be on the east-west facing wall. Or running wall, not facing wall. Anyway, they're gonna move it there, and they're gonna take the intake hood and then move that around where you come in the paint room door from Chad's wood shop, so there's gonna be a long distance between the two. Again, the intake coming in high, exhaust going all low, but the idea that it's gonna take the fumes out. When that's done, then they're gonna move the heater away from the location it is now and put it back in the corner so it's out of our way. The other issue we ran into was when they put the rails inside the paint room, it blocks the light that comes into the middle of the room. So now we're gonna take the lights that are outside the rail and just move them inside the rail. All the wiring is there. I talked to Mark Hollis at Current. That'll be an easy job to do, easier than what they have to do to route the exhaust and so on, since the wiring's already there. And then the other thing is, in the greenhouse, if you remember, we have the half wall and then the metal posts or the aluminum posts on there that go up, and at one time there was an opening there. We put or bent metal over it. I talked to Lee again, and we're concerned about over time with humidity in there, what that's gonna do to the metal and it rusting and so on. So I worked with Myron. They are gonna install Corian tops, all custom-made Corian tops to cover all the bolts and put a ledge up there, a Corian like a countertop. It'll last longer than anything in the greenhouse. So they're gonna be doing that. And they will not go in there and do that until summertime, just because there's just no way they can work around it. But I believe the Corian, when he arrives, they'll store it here on site, because they know that we aren't gonna pay that till it's done, and they wanna lock up this project just as much as we do and get it crossed off their pile. So that's kind of the update in terms of the referendum. Other items with buildings and grounds, we did open up the sealed bids for replacement of the doors. Flooring, replace the original flooring in some of the junior high classrooms upstairs. And lighting, I think, was the third one that we opened. And I believe those were awarded. I know they were awarded the lowest bid, and I think they're listed in the finance report, which Mike may want to talk to you later on. So can't think of anything else offhand, building and grounds wise. We're just looking forward to snow disappearing and get outside and doing some things.
Okay, policy committee.
The policy committee met on Monday, March 6th, and we had a discussion of a few different policies just to start things off. We discussed school volunteers, and the student, we discussed 753, which was the use of school vehicles, and 840, which is public gifts to the schools. At this point, there were no changes for those last two for sure. The school volunteers, we are discussing that. We'll probably meet back again about that and just have a discussion on some of that and how that should be maybe changed or added if we have some things we need to do. That one will be a discussion topic for us. We did discuss 510, which is professional staff unpaid leave of absence, which is in the packet tonight, and there are some changes to that. So those are highlighted in red on your packet. And we had also talked about reinstating policy 662.1, which is the student activity accounts for the Hawaii account. And Mr. Yosky will address that when it comes up for us to look at that and to vote on it. One of the other discussions that we did have was, and something that we're looking into is creating an endowment fund policy for the purpose of distributing scholarships and to do that type of thing for people to give to the district who don't know, or they want to do something for the district, but they don't know exactly what, or they want to donate a scholarship, but they do not want to, how can I say this? They do not want to be exactly responsible for it, but the district would have that. It makes it much cleaner and easier if people are donating in their wills or, some type of thing they want to donate to the district. And it will make things much easier for them. So we were talking about creating that endowment fund. That has been a discussion item before, but we need to actually do some research on it and make sure that we can do it so that it's a good possibility for us, or a good change for us.
That's also one of the goals, if you recall, on the strategic plan is
Yes.
create an
Endowment.
endowment fund or establish an endowment.
Okay. Personnel Committee, you said there was no
We did not
meeting.
meet.
Curriculum Committee?
The curriculum committee met and basically went over as a review of what we'd accomplished this year, what was done this year, and talked about the forms that have been developed for the submission of new classes and the data that goes into those. And we did say we were going to meet once more to wrap things up and then look at a plan for next year. What do we want to accomplish through next year? So I think that was very short, but it was also very productive in talking about what we had done. Anything, Dawn?
Sheila,
Yes.
with the curriculum, we've got some CISA contracts we're going to be looking at and such. Did the curriculum committee have a chance to look at the CISA contracts and determine the services that are being presented are going to be needed for next year? And were there any sorts of alternatives or anything like that?
No, we did not.
No. Okay.
Okay. Culture Committee.
Dawn?
Earlier I put the maps of the school up there.
Mhm.
Rough drafts, we'll discuss that before we make time. So that was one of the items, both buildings, we have names based on the themes for the month, and then some Eagle-related words as well. I know I talked to the Steve earlier, we're gonna take a look at if we have them double-sided, if we need duplicate signs, ADA compliant, we can get the size of them. So we will finalize all the other details, but that's a rough draft of what some of the members of the committee put together as far as making all this. And as we learn more about how we're going to either hang them or put them on the wall, we'll get it up to them.
You thinking metal signs or you thinking?
We can look at metal, where we got our, the teacher's name tags. They also make a larger, I'm gonna say it's plastic or like a hard vinyl,
Mhm.
and they can make double-sided,
Okay,
or one-sided. They can even make them lit up if we go that route.
yeah.
But I think depending on the size and all the numbers, we'll have to take a look at the quote and see what we can do. Whether we can in the middle and have a double-sided or up in the hallway or at each end so that. the
Sure, if you hang in the middle, hanging on the wall,
Right.
it's a good natural instinct to want to jump up and wrap that thing.
Sure.
Correct.
So-
Dawn, I wasn't able to make the last meeting and such. Was there any sort of discussion on with parents entering the building? Or I'll even use myself as an example, not familiar with different things and such, to go and find so that, if the third and fourth grade are in a certain area, will there be some sort of signs to go and direct me so I know where Respect Road or where some of these different things are?
One thing, and we didn't bring it up in the meeting, but a couple members have mentioned that, since we're going to name the hallways, maybe like walking into the building to have a small version of the map, so that they can locate where those are.
Yes. Yeah, no, that'd be,
I'm not sure what size we would want, obviously visible to be able to
Right.
see easy, but,
just one quick idea is that, there's, different alphabet and such. And so I see responsibility row and respect road are right next to each other. And so maybe it might be something of looking, okay, that it kind of follows alphabetically as we go around the building or something, just so that it makes it a little easier for someone that's not familiar.
and I know that's one thing that before we put everything up, we'll kind of look at all the logistics of that, so. And then I know Steve mentioned earlier too, we have to be around March 27th. We'll be speaking on vaping, substance abuse and use, addiction, and then making healthy choices. The staff hopefully will be watching his video tomorrow or before the presentation. And we can also send that out to the parents. I sent a little question out to the committee earlier, just with the, I guess, the worry that if we did the evening presentation, we wouldn't have a lot of turnout based on some of the other things that we're having in the evening. Turnout is low. So we can share that to the parents also, so they can watch that video. We also put it in the signal this week, and I want to add it on to the social media. But if parents want to come in and watch the presentations, like with our Be the Yellow with Adam, if they notify the office, they can come in and watch also. And I think this week's signal has the agenda on it as far as presentations, and we'll do it again this next week. Put it on social media, and hope we get a good turnout that way. Another thing we talked about was looking at updating the elementary, middle, and high school signs that are out visible to the public, removing the gold A, replacing it with our logo. So Courtney is looking into talking with Chad to see if we can create those here before we would look outside of the district to try to get those made. The metal logo signs that we have, the business, he retired.
Mhm.
We're not sure if he sold the business or if someone's doing it, but if Chad can do it in-house on metal, so it will be long lasting, we'll get that out most likely. Talked about painting the bricks or fixing the bricks, also lettering on the buildings. And then I know in Kevin's email thread, talked about maybe with Mark and the horticulture class to update some of the landscaping around the signs as well. And then Kevin will probably touch on this too, but the first survey to the staff has come out, which was also part of the strategic planning committee goals, based on surveys that we did, some of the questions that we did last year. I know we tweaked them a little bit, and just so it's a continuing process of updating our needs and assessing the good, what we need to improve. So,
Thank you. Is there any correspondence? No. Positive happenings.
I think Steve did a fantastic job of explaining things here at the high school and
Mhm.
Kevin with the archery group and everything.
And the elementary,
We-
what's going on?
Yes, we've got a lot of things that are going positive and we can be very proud.
One of the things I asked Mr. Bender is through one of my observations is some of his projects that he's doing. I asked him if he could bring them to one of the board meetings, just so you guys can kind of see some of the neat stuff they're making. I know one of his students who's in advanced woods class right now is making they help with a veteran hunt where they hunt for turkeys. And he's making the little mounts for the turkey tails or whatever they mount on there. It's just really neat to see some of the projects that are starting to come out of that new area. So I think that's something that Mr. Andrews said he'd definitely be willing to have some students bring in some of those projects. They'll see them in the future board meetings.
Good. Okay. All right, action items, approval of the 2023-2024 CISA 10 services contract.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2023-2024 CISA 10 services contract.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion?
This- The CISA 10 contract, CISA 10 is obviously north of us, it's not ours, but I talked to Johnny Ray, and we, most of our CISA 10, this is a course, it's college algebra versus, I mean, they're getting college credit for it. It's taught, I believe it's taught from another high school. I'm not, again, Steve could probably know more details on it. But anyway, it's a year-long course. And to think that, if we have 10 to 15 or 18 students receiving a college course, and we're paying, a full course throughout the year, we're getting that value for $15,000. We couldn't get that with an educator. So I think it's a win-win for our kids to have that opportunity, still keep them in the building. And again, I think it's through our Sweeten Network, Central Wisconsin Educational Television Network Group, or whatever it may happen to be. But we've done it in the past, and again, this is what they're predicting it would be for the coming year as well. Steve, do you want to add any more to that?
It's taught out of Athens currently as we're in high school.
Athens?
Yeah, and it's something that our students really do benefit from because they get the college credit and it's not like an AP class where you have to take the test at the end of the year, which I know is a lot of stress for students like that too, the AP Calc. So this is a class that they're able to take like they would a typical college class.
Did you have questions, Mike?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the 2023-2024 CISA 5 services contract.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2023-2024 CISA 5 services contract.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Well, I'll start on the first page, and thank you for describing CISA 10. That's just the one item. There's quite a few items here for CISA 5, and that's why the first one does, in parentheses, is curriculum and instruction for $9,300. So I guess, what additional school improvement services do we get from CISA 5 for that?
For the curriculum,
Yes,
is that S1?
correct, yes,
One?
yes.
Yep.
They have a curriculum person at CISA, so as we have questions, I know they have visited us and worked with Steve, Andy, and I through the effective educator model. She sets up our front line for us, puts people in summer years, supporting years, and so on. They also provide some resources if we need somebody to come in and help us with curriculum review. They're going to come up and do some CKLA stuff. They're going to do some math in-service training with our staff. They come, again, directly to us. We do not have to outsource, or that's just part of the contract that we signed with them.
And that's continuing what we've done in the past.
To my knowledge, we've always
Had the
that
resources.
agreement with the CISA. Again, their expertise is gonna far exceed any resources that we can try to access on our own.
Okay.
And that's a set price, or does it change with how much you use them?
I'd have to look at what it was last year. I mean, obviously, I didn't see or compare that. I think it's comparable. I mean, it's not outlandish in terms of, it wasn't, half of that last year. Now it's double, but I would say it's gonna be in the ballpark.
And then there's a Career and Technical Education Council. And I guess, is that membership dues as a lobbying group, or kind of what does that involve, that we work with CISA on.
I'm not familiar with what that is unless that has something to do with the Perkins money. Or is that the management of Perkins? I know we have a grant writer that is also included in that CISA contract, but I'm not familiar exactly what that does.
Okay.
For sure, we do some stuff through CTE.
Yeah. And I guess the purpose of my questions tonight is, number one, I'm new. I'm looking at things from educationally, how we can work on things. And this is very much curriculum type of items, but then also the financial. And is there another way possibly where things could be done that may have not been looked at in the past? So I'm going to go down to librarian services. I guess what is involved with the librarian services then that we get from CISA 5?
That's a state statute. We must have a librarian or librarian services. We do not have one. So we
So she
use
comes
ours through
in.
CISA. That's
Yeah.
just, they're responsible for ordering books, the paperwork is needed to meet state statute and so on. So
Okay. So
that's one we have to have.
So and again, I'm thinking out loud. CISA is located in, is it Portage? Okay. Is there a librarian possibly through Marshfield, Stevens Point, Wisconsin Rapids, maybe public library that's certified that could do this, and for the number of days that are listed, that it end up being quite a bit less?
Possible, I guess.
Okay. And again, I don't know certifications and those types of things, but at the cost per day that is listed here, if that is all the person does is, up here in this number of days, if it's possible to look at an alternative and they would end up being closer, and I don't know if that has even been thought of or looked at recently. So that's why I bring that one up. Okay. The next page, then we have an educational sign language interpreter. So I guess, is that interpreter here then every day to help us with the student?
Yes.
Okay, because
all these services are IEP driven.
The special ed stuff.
Everything on this page is IEP driven.
okay.
These are all special educational
Services.
as the team gets together and says, this is a plan, this is what they need for services. And we say they need this many hours or this many days of whatever, then it's billed out per day or per hour at this rate. So that's, because I did look at this and thought, there's got to be some wiggle room in here and so on. And I met with Devin and we went over this item by item on this page.
All right.
And we looked at the IEPs and, are we over-serving? Are we under-serving? Are we right where we're at? And this year we have a lot of students that have exceptional special educational needs. Realizing that, when you reach that 30,000 threshold, then it's reimbursed at almost 100%. So as the values go up here, realize, I know it's a lot of money, but most of that is going to be reimbursed through special education or flow through funds. So I'm not as concerned with anything on this page, even though it is, again, a substantial amount of money. The biggest thing that I think you got to keep in mind, Mike, is these are estimations, or this is the projected cost.
Okay.
So if they're quoting us, 825 units of occupational therapy, and we have 2 students that need that move away, and we only use 400 units, then that amount will drop tremendously. Right now, you can see we've got the Wood County Alternative School in there.
Yes.
One student year tuition is $43,500.
Correct.
If we don't have a student in there, then that amount will go away. So again, these are just projections. They try to say this is what it would be. Again, worst case scenario, if we don't use all those services, then it'll obviously be less, but it's easier to budget for this amount than it is to not have it
Correct.
budgeted and then yet something comes in at a high quantity,
Correct.
so.
I guess with the Wood County Alternative School, since it is such a large amount of money, what is our track record as far as success when we have had to have students there? Have they gone on and I'll say been able to get their GED or, whatever? What have we had for a past with that?
I have no track record here, so I can't answer that.
Any idea?
Yeah, and I'm thinking about the students that we've had there since I've been there, not really reached that graduation point yet. And a lot of times what will happen is that might be a bridge gap before they go somewhere else.
Okay.
So, I can't say that I know that they went on to graduate after they left there because they didn't come back here.
Right.
So I can't predict how they did in the future.
And is my understanding correct that usually if we expel a student, then they go to this alternative school?
No,
No.
Not necessarily.
No, okay.
Mm,
no. Wood County Alternative School would be for students that have needs that cannot be met within this building, either behavioral needs or emotional needs, just to the point where they're gonna need a little bit smaller group, a little bit more one-on-one attention to meet their academic or behavioral choices. It could be chemical dependency, it could be IEP driven, could be a number of those factors. So that's why that quantity or the amount is so high, again, just because they have very high demands or exceptional needs that they need more one-on-one attention or small group attention to be able to succeed.
And like I say, we want them to succeed. That's why I started out with the question, how the success rate has been. And if it's great, yes, large amount of money, I don't think anybody has any sort of a problem. But if they were not getting some results out of it, then it might be looking at what are some other alternatives that can be done. So, okay, thank you very much.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval to temporarily reinstate policy 662.1, student activity accounts for the purpose of managing Hawaii band trip funds.
I move to reinstate student activity accounts number 662.1 for the Hawaii band trip funds.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
I could fill you guys in on that, the process here. I don't know when it happened, but at some point in time, probably 5, 6 or more years ago, we used to have something called student activity funds, which was was Fund 60s, and it was covered under the 662.1 policy. They suspended that they got rid of that because all student activity funds were just moved to Fund 21s. Because the issue was with the student funds, then students had control of them. And we wanted to make sure that the schools had control of what was or what was not being used with those funds that were brought in by students. So that kind of was what happened to that at that point in time. The funds didn't go away. We just changed them from Fund 60, student activity funds, to Fund 21s, which are like club activities. So you still have the class of 2023, class of 2024, you've got FFA, you've got HOSA, you've got prom, it's a whole page. There's got to be 60 of them on there, different Fund 21s. That used to be Fund 60 accounts. We just got rid of that student activity or that student controlled accounts. Well, what happened now is with this Hawaii trip, we've got our students going with our chaperones, which works out great. We can run that through Fund 21. We've got a shadow group that is now going, which is just parents or family not affiliated with the school, but they also have to pay to attend that trip. So rather than having them pay an advisor, and then that person collects all the money, and then writes a check out of their personal check to the company to cover the shadow group, we thought we should open up a Fund 60 account just for this trip. So they can deposit the money in the Fund 60 account for the shadow group, and then the school can write one check out of that Fund 60 account each time a payment is due. It just makes it cleaner for us. It makes it cleaner for those that are paying for the trip. It makes it cleaner for the chaperone if the money is coming from outside, the inside the school, and then from the school is writing the check to the private vendor outside again. It's cleaner for our auditors, it's cleaner for everybody involved. So we're just asking that you consider putting this policy back in place until this trip is done, at which point in time we will suspend the policy again, unless another group falls in the same category where wow, the school's gonna be collecting money, but not using it with our students or for our school or for our chaperones. If that makes sense.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the elementary reading specialist contract.
I make a motion, we approve the elementary reading specialist contract.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the high school art teacher resignation.
I move to approve the resignation of the high school arts teacher.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the business manager retirement.
I move to approve the retirement of our business manager, Chuck Payant.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, approval of bids, flooring, R&R, flooring and furniture, and then doors, quality door and hardware.
I move to approve the bids of flooring with R&R Flooring and Furniture and doors, quality door and hardware.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
We did end up getting some quotes from different businesses, so it was just not these and such. And both of these are the low bidders for the projects that are to be done this summer.
Okay,
For the doors one, you have option 1 and option 2. What's the difference between?
Sure. Option one was using the same closers that we've had with the original doors. Option two is having new closers put on with new doors.
Okay.
I believe we went in with option two because we didn't want to put an old closer on a new door, then the old closer leaks oil and it runs down the new door. So
no,
we've got, those blue doors, what are they? Gotta be 30-some years old. To get 30-some years out of a metal door is pretty well. So we thought we would put new closers on them as well.
Is that the other way though? I think option,
Yeah, option 1 is the one with the new closers.
Option one is, I'm looking at
Yeah, otherwise it'd be cheaper to.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at Nikolai Construction one. No, you're right, yeah, option one is with the new closers, option two is with the old.
Okay.
So do we have to specify that at this time?
I don't think we did, I think it was, I suppose, if you got two of them there. What was on the finance report, Mike, do you remember, was it?
Okay, so it was the same dollar numbers, but yes, Chuck, Kayla, and I, we had, talked about that, yes, it probably would be better to go with new closers rather than have them and end up failing early and such on that. So that would be the 43,000 one, yes.
So the motion should
Probably reflect that.
reflect that we're going with option one.
Yes. So I will move to amend my motion to add under the quality door that we go with option one.
And is there a second on that amendment?
I'll second the amendment.
Okay. Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So Sue, we now have the option one. Now we have to vote on the main motion that says quality door option one, and then R&R flooring for the main motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the R&R we into, right?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
We've got the motion already, so if there's any more
So
discussion.
we just voted on the amendment.
Correct.
Okay.
So we agreed to go and add option one in there. So,
Right.
so now the main motion would be that we approve quality door option one and R&R flooring
Right. Okay.
and such.
Yeah,
And so then
'cause-
we can go and vote on it.
Okay. We have a motion for approval of quality door with option one.
And then the R&R flooring.
And, okay, and R&R flooring.
So you can ask if there's any other discussion,
Well,
otherwise
we
we can
didn't-
vote.
Oh, we did have the motion.
Yes, yeah, motion was there
Okay, is there
already.
any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consideration of future agenda items.
Kevin, is there anything we need to do regarding the referendum, whatever the outcome is?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So certify that. I don't know, is that usually that night or the next day?
The canvassing
Yeah,
has to be done the 5th through the 11th.
okay,
So it's
prior to the meeting.
Yes.
We actually have Easter break the 6th, 7th, and 10th, so we've got 2 days.
Is there anything we need to do regarding the scheduling for next year? Anything like that
Scheduling
of classes?
of classes, I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think we're in really good shape that right now in terms of the high school schedule and what's being offered.
And class sizes, everything.
Yeah, I think, down the road, we're gonna have to have some discussions, but there's nothing we can do right now, so.
Okay.
Okay. I can't think of anything else.
I can't think of anything else now.
Okay. All right, consideration of available dates and scheduling of future meetings. April 10th is that legislative meeting in Medford. What other, do you need committee meetings at all?
Yeah, we should have a policy one.
Okay,
A couple, I mean, I want to be able to show some samples of the endowment policy we're working on. Casey and I worked on some language with the volunteer in schools policy. I think Steve and I have talked about the co-curricular field trip policy. We need to, I guess, clean that one up a little bit. There's a lot of areas in there that are kind of gray that we think we can make it a little bit better, a little clearer for staff and board and administration as we're approving and discussing trips and viability and liabilities and so on. So I think that one should be on that as well. So personnel. I don't know if there's any, is there a need for us to crank out personnel?
Maybe after we meet with you on Tuesday. If you want to, whatever we discuss on Tuesday.
If we could meet prior to the next April board meeting, maybe between the 4th and the 9th, 17th, is it, next board meeting?
19th.
19th? If we could schedule a personnel meeting between maybe it'd be like between the 6th and the 19th. That would be helpful, I think.
Like the 11th, the Tuesday? I know you don't like Mondays.
How about the 12th?
The 12th? How about the 12th? Morning,
Are we looking at April?
April 12th.
I'm good.
What time? Morning, please.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock?
This is personnel.
Yes.
4:12, 9 a.m. I'll send a Google invite.
Okay.
Okay.
Policy, Mike.
Toss out a couple dates or times, and I'll take a look.
What about the 22nd of March?
Okay, 22nd. What time?
Wednesday,
Okay. What time?
AM. What morning?
Okay.
I'm good.
So, yeah,
22nd?
yes. So, 8:30, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever you want. Morning is good for me, and earlier the better.
What time? You want to do 8 o'clock?
I can
8:30?
do 8.
Well, are you done with your traffic control?
I don't have AM traffic control.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No. 8 a.m.
All right.
I'll send on the Google invite. That's policy.
That's
Yep.
policy.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's cool.
Anything else?
when do we have our culture?
Culture is April 12th.
April 12th.
That's the days we've got.
Should have on my calendar.
Yeah.
April 3rd for curriculum.
Yeah, 3:30.
April 3rd is curriculum.
4:3.
Yes.
After school.
After school.
Okay. The only other thing is just remember, the strategic plan, there's possible
Next.
quorum on that night. as
21st.
well,
Next
so.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And you were giving building tours
Tomorrow.
tomorrow,
I gave them
Tonight.
tonight, okay.
Oh,
And then
tonight?
I'm gonna do, them again on Tuesday.
Oh.
So it's this Wednesday and next Tuesday.
4 and 5.
Okay, anything else?
Do you need anything in buildings and grounds at all, or? You're meeting with Myron on when? April 7th?
6th of April, they're gonna be here.
I think Chuck wants to set something up too, but I'll let him contact you guys.
Yeah, Chuck should be part of that, so. Yeah, I'm sure there's some things we can discuss.
On April 6th?
No, I know, not April
No.
6th, I mean, but there's some things we can discuss, building and grounds. Just remember too, with the buildings and grounds, the surplus sale starts Friday, it runs for 2 weeks, so
Okay,
everything is labeled out in the shed, so maybe that's, if we wait for 2 weeks, we could see, we can have an update on what went and what we still have left and so on, so. If we could wait, Scott, if we could have that after the 6th of April, squeeze it in sometime in that next week and a half or those 10 days, I think that'd be beneficial.
so can people come and look at the stuff in the shed, or
Just,
how does that?
go ahead.
On the website, it says to contact Russ, his phone number and which hours, and they can set up an appointment with him to look at things.
Okay,
Okay, so that's on the Wisconsin, our website or the
No, it's-
Wisconsin Surplus?
And then once the link becomes active, I will post it on our page.
Okay. Because I did go and look at it tonight to see if anything was there. Wasn't anything there yet.
Correct. Friday, they're gonna post it.
Okay. So yes, and it was in the Signal and such. And again, I don't know how many people are aware of it because I'm not. Okay. And so yes, it's wisconsinsurplus.com. And then they do have a phone number also that can go and call on that. So to try to get that information out as much as possible. So I'm glad we're going to be having it on the
I see.
website and put that in the,
I just saw something in the district mirror too, yep.
so like I say, so people
Okay.
get it.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Second, Kayla? Good. Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.